Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Welcome to the second session of Meet Canon, the virtual open house on refrigeration technologies in 2 days, and this is the second half of the first day. My name is Max Taverna. I'm the chief editor of Canon News, the Canon Group house organ. As you may have seen online on our web pages of this event, we run single sessions dedicated to specific markets. We did this morning the continuous panel production, and we will follow the same format. We have an introduction highlighting the market we are talking about. Then we will see a couple of examples of state-of-the-art Canon plants dedicated to the technologies that we are discussing. And then there will be at the end a question and answer session from our specialists for which you can book your questions on the right-hand side of your screen where you are connected, posting your questions as you like. We are this afternoon with Alberto Zerantonello, Managing Director of Canon Ergos, Andrea Orlandini, Sales Manager for Refrigerators at Canon Ergos, and Paolo Gallo, Application Manager for Refrigerators at Canon Afros. Alberto, can you start introducing briefly yourself and what Canon Ergos does for our viewers?
Yes, for sure. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. I am Alberto Zerantonello, and I am in charge of Canon Ergos, which is the engineering company of the Canon Plastic division. Essentially, Ergos has in charge the dry part of all machinery and production systems we manufacture. Ergos is active on 6 main market segments: panels, continuous panels, automotive, composites, thermoforming, the specialties market, and obviously the domestic and commercial refrigerator one.
And this is exactly the subject of our discussion this afternoon. We will examine the main problems met by the producers of refrigerators, and we will try to summarize the main market and production problems, looking at what Canon developed and what Canon can supply to solve them. Andrea, give us, please, a brief overview of this production, starting, if you want, from the basics.
Okay. Well, taking for granted that all our viewers already know what a refrigerator is, let me tell you. The injection of a polyurethane formulation in the cavity between the liners of a refrigerator cabinets is the matter of Canon day-by-day business. In the past 50-plus years, we developed production processes and innovative technical solutions that made this operation fast, repetitive, safe, economic, and environmentally compatible. This is a market that, in normal conditions, produces around 66 million pieces per year. Canon Ergos is concentrating on the production of the whole dry part of the process, providing to all the major players in the world this equipment, while Canon Afros is managing the dosing and mixing aspects.
Then, talking of chemistry and of formulations, Canon Afros plays the major role in this game for Canon. Right. Paolo, what is the refrigerator market representing for your company?
Yes, for our company, it's a really important market. We can say that the refrigerator market can cover almost 1/3 of our total turnover, which may correspond to a 40% of the global market share. This is for sure a value for us, but also a value for our customer. We can rely on our experience to cope with their needs.
So a major market and a major task for Canon. We are not going to discuss in this first session any technical detail or any solution, because this will be the matter of the next minutes. It's a fact that a global problem that involved heavily the refrigerator industry from an environmental point of view demands a quick technological adaptation of our customers for their process and for their final product. Alberto, can you highlight these adaptations for our viewers?
Yes, a couple of examples may clarify this point. Some 30 years ago, we all faced the two major challenges to protect our environment. The first one that has been ruled by the Montreal Protocol is the ozone layer depletion caused by some gases, fluorochlorocarbon, the main ones. And the second one is the greenhouse effect of the human activity that has been ruled by the Kyoto Protocol. The first one has been managed from our standpoint quite well. The second one is of big actuality today. We can probably resume in three main areas of activity the way we can face the greenhouse effect. First of all, the reduction of gases implementing or having an influence on the greenhouse effect. The second one, reducing the carbon footprint of our daily activity. And third, energy saving, or having a lifestyle that requires less energy compared to the past.
And this is a big game. It's a big challenge. How is Canon going to, and this is the focal point of our today's, let's put it clear. And how is Canon committed into this big game?
We can use few examples to understand the commitment of Canon and the industry where we are in. Let's start from thermal insulation of building. It's clear to everybody that what said before is strongly impacted by the way we make thermal insulation of our buildings, residential, commercial, and industrial. A second example is the way we move. So lighter vehicles, it doesn't matter what a vehicle means, is a way to cut energy. And the third one is an example on the white appliance industry. To make a more thermal efficient domestic refrigerators, we can name few examples. The first one, the vacuum technology that Canon introduced in the market with one important raw material supplier to make a better insulation of a domestic refrigerator, domestic or commercial, and cut the need of long cure times. All this means energy. Another example is the development of more efficient mixing systems, fitting with the need to inject material on a more complicated cabinet, with a target to save raw material, lower overpacking. All this at the end means energy. Another example is the dry part. We developed recently systems that requires less space, less energy, less electricity, and so overall a lower carbon footprint.
And these are fundamental steps towards the solution of this big problem. We are going to see something in the next 40 minutes very related with this. Andrea, in terms of final product, the refrigerator, what is going on the market?
Well, Max, I would rather say in the different world markets, since there are significant differences among the continents. As a matter of fact, we deal with customers and companies from all over the world, from the richest markets to the emerging one, to end, not for importance with those, and they are many, that simplifying we can define poor. Countries where maybe the refrigerator is not yet present in every house. Our customer range from the large multinational company to the small local business that wants to start producing refrigerators. Despite the obvious big differences, they all have been sharing a common denominator over the past year: the pandemic effect in sales increasing. It seemed to us that after a period of relative calm immediately following the spread of COVID, the whole world wanted to buy more refrigerators, and the companies needed to gear up accordingly. We really had an hectic year with a tremendous number of requests for new machines. This was really
a boom.
A boom, yes, an hard time. Then it is clear that the requirements are different, as the innovative solution we have found to meet our customer demands are. A must for everyone is definitely flexibility. Flexibility is the capability to adjust in a very short time the equipment setup to produce different models. In this regard, we can go from older and proven solutions such as the rotoplug that was patented by Canon in 1982 to newer solutions like modular tools capable to adjust to different models. It goes without saying that also on the wet side, we are offering flexible systems where different formulations are available online and where it is possible to switch from one to another on the fly with zero contamination. This is thanks to dedicated special SR mixing heads designed for this task. Another key factor we are facing is product and process control. More and more smart sensors are being used, and all parameters such as temperature, pressure, weight, size, and shapes are controlled. In most cases, the system is also able to react in case any parameter is out of range by correcting it, thus closing the loop. Recently, we have also developed a system to verify by means of thermal imaging cameras the correct distribution of PU foam inside the refrigerator cavities. This is also useful to control proper positioning of inserts when, in order to improve the insulating capacity of a refrigerator, you use VIP, vacuum insulated panels. Improvement of refrigerator capacity, and therefore improvement of energy efficiency, is definitely the topic of the day. You, Max, and surely all our viewers know that a new energy labeling is being introduced in Europe for domestic appliances. This will lead to the fact that the new product will have to get the highest classification in terms of energy efficiency to be allowed to go on the market. A Canon solution to give more efficiency, higher efficiency to the refrigerator is the VAI that Alberto mentioned before, that is the vacuum-assisted injection technology. This is a technology developed by Canon years ago, and you can find a presentation of this technology online today in the web page of this seminar. Finally, let me say that other possibilities, to the extent of our expertise, come from the use of new chemical formulation and new blowing agents or blend of blowing agents. This is also a topic that will surely be discussed again during this conference and during these days, so I would not take any more time. I stop here.
In fact, these are subjects that we are going to see in the next minutes in factories or to discuss extensively during the question and answer session. In the meantime, I remind to our viewers that if you have any question, please post it on the right-hand side of your page in the blog provided with this website, and your questions will be answered at the end of this session after we have seen the next contributions regarding dry and wet equipment for domestic refrigerators. These have been recorded in the former days for COVID-related logistic problems, and we will be back at the end of these two contributions in more or less in 40 minutes to answer to your questions. Stay with us. See you in the factory in a minute. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our second session of Meet Canon, the virtual open house on refrigerator and insulation foams made with rigid polyurethanes. We are, as we said before, with Alberto Zarantonello, General Manager of Canon Ergos, and with Paolo Gallo, Specialist in refrigerator and insulation foams at Canon Afros. Alberto, where are we today and why?
Today we are in the factory we have dedicated to the white appliance industry. It's COVID time, but probably for the white appliance market has been quite a busy one. Today we are going to see a couple of production systems for two market leaders in this segment, and both lines have been developed with a target to have high volume production connected with high-end products, so high quality. We are here close to one fixtures which has been designed for the use of the vacuum-assisted injection technology. Is a concept utilizing a small depression inside the mold with a target to increase foam flowability. Such a technology has been introduced in the market by Canon a few years ago, and today we have supplied in excess of 50 lines worldwide.
That's interesting. Let's go back 1 second. We are going towards a period where, at least in Europe, a new labeling rule is going to be implemented. The refrigerator manufacturers are going to put energy efficiency labels on their fridges. Now, the old blowing agents which were on one side dangerous for the stratospheric ozone layer over Antarctica, and on the other end were dangerous for the global warming, the climate change problem, has been more or less replaced, and the replacements seems to be working. They are more expensive, but they reach their target. Once we have said that, why should a customer customer buy a Wafer Line with vacuum?
Yes, the use of new blowing agents, as you said, has the target to increase the energy efficiency of a final product. Anyhow, the vacuum-assisted technology has been conceived since the beginning with three main targets. The first one, formulations compatible with higher productivity polymers. Higher productivity means foams that are quickly reacting, generating fine cell structures, giving better thermal insulation properties. Second target, higher flowability. It is clear that lower pressure inside the mold allow a better flow of the foam, so having the system compatible with the need of inserts, such as VIP panels, again with the target to increase the labeling of the product. And third target, productivity. The vacuum-assisted technology give the chance to reduce sensibly cure time by 40% compared to standard formulations, so that the overall production can increase some 25-30% as average.
And how was accepted by the market this innovation of VAI?
As we say today, we have more than 50 lines delivered. We have to say that China has been more reactive to this innovation. We believe that the reason is that the vacuum-assisted technology gave the chance to Chinese customer to go to a better product with no sensible R&D activity on blowing agents, first. Second, production increase. China in the last few years had a need to increase production dramatically. So these are the two main reasons we think are realistic.
So they were faster to implement a solution which is now very modern, but they did it 10 years ago. Very clever. Paolo, I understand that one of the main reasons for having a new foaming line is a new chemistry which is going on. What can you tell us from the chemical point of view?
From the chemical point of view, to be sincere, we don't have many treats to face considering the wet part, so the dosing machine. Of course, one main request is to increase the output. But this it's quite easy in the dosing machine. It's more complex in the mixing head, but with our FPL-SR mixing head, we'll never face problem with our output. High output means bubbles, which means less laminar flow, but with our FPL-SR mixing head we have solved all these problems. Probably customer in the next future will face more problems with the new blowing agents, because new blowing agents such as HFO or LBA in general are more sensitive to temperature, have less flowability inside of the mold. And due to the high cost, maybe they request the customer to have the possibility to play with different chemicals at the same time in the same line.
For higher flexibility.
For higher flexibility as well. Yeah. And of course, to all these main problems, we have the solution. We have improved the temperature control of the machines. We have designed special equipment to handle different chemicals at the same time. We have a premix unit which are able to blend up to 4 chemicals at the same time. And we have also designed a mixing head, not only a 2-component, but a new mixing head, always an FPL-SR based mixing head, which is capable to handle up to 4 streams. so the customer can switch from one refrigerator to the other the chemistry and maybe handle in the same line different quality or different type of product.
For an extremely higher product mix on their line. You have been mentioning the FPL SR 2 or 3 times during the last minutes. It's not here. Let's go and see it installed on the plant.
Yeah.
See you in a minute.
So, we were talking about our FPL SR mixing head. Here we have one already mounted on the mix head carrier. Of course, what we can say about this is our masterpiece for our mixing head in the latest years. Why is a commercial and industrial success? Because it permits to have higher laminar flow, so less bubbles, better quality for the customer, better mixing quality, of course, compared to the previous models. And also we have improved the maintenance of this mixing head because customer can change only the piston and the bushing of the piston in order to have less cost for the spare parts, but also a maintenance that can be done in-house from the customer.
What is the characteristic of the head from the geometry, from inside?
The geometry has been improved, creating a number shape for the self-cleaning piston in order to reduce the friction. This permitted us also to increase the length of the nose to enter better in the mold of the customer, but also to have a higher laminar flow, which is really connected to the quality of the product.
How many models do you have of FPL SR?
Nowadays are countless, we can say, because of course we have a standard model that has been designed and installed in many plants, but we are also ready to design a tailor-made for the customer. We have done with the longer nose, for example, for panels, discontinuous panels market. We have done with additional ports for color or for bluing agent also. And we have done also the 4-stream mixing head that we spoke about before, that is the new request, that is connected to the new request of the bluing agents in the refrigerator industry.
I think that in this field, to ensure constancy of results and precision is one of the most important performances that you must guarantee to the customer. What have you done on this field?
Yes, for sure, quality control and the final quality of the product is more and more important in all the industry. To answer to these needs, we have worked in several field of our equipment. We have improved the control of the temperature, adding sensor in all the equipment, starting from the dosing machine to the mixing head, but also in the molds, in the fixture, we have included many sensors. We have improved also the data collection, because you can control all the parameters, but it's also important to collect in real time and to make available this data to the customer. And also for this we have improved our supervising system with our automata team, where we can provide to customer a solution tailor-made for their factory, where we can in real time collect all the data of the line. And connected to this, we have also worked on preventive maintenance, because quality control for the product is important, but also is important for the factory to have a better maintenance, because to maintenance is connected the cost. And to this maintenance, we have a study solution for preventive maintenance, as said. We have included a vibration sensor for the pumps and for the motors inside of the equipment, and in order to check continuously the status of each component. But we didn't stop to this. We also worked on what is the core part of the machine, the mixing head. And for this, we have designed and developed what we call the FPL SR, but in reality the new mixing head connected to this is the talking head. talking head, that is a mixing head capable to collect the data of temperature and pressure in real time, but also capable to collect the data of the wearing of this mixing head, which is for us a new important point for predictive maintenance.
That's very interesting, and I think it covers quite the whole supply of the wet side of Canon in this field. Alberto, besides VAI, the vacuum, which is a fundamental step in the refrigerator technology of Canon, what else can Canon supply to the refrigerator manufacturers?
Well, obviously that's depending from specific market needs. Two examples can help to understand. For those customers who are, for example, in need to reduce floor space in a production environment, we have developed a new solution that we call Roto Jig, which essentially consists of two fixtures assembled on a common base frame. The two fixtures can rotate 180 degrees, reaching alternatively upper position for cure operations or lower position for service. This solution actually give double production in same floor space.
And that's improving the productivity.
That's for those type of customer who are in need of this. Then we have other customers that for example, are more focused on technical solution requiring multiple injection point. For those customers, we have developed a new solutions. We call these new fixtures short stroke fixtures, where we succeeded to cut machine time sensibly, some 15-20 seconds, for a system compared to a traditional one, which has a much longer machine time, which has a more impact on overall productivity. You are going to see an example of this line where the customer is going to work with a 4-point injection since he's in need to use highly reactive foams.
So 4 heads mixing and injecting foam at the same time in the same cabinet.
Simultaneously,
Dosed
yes.
by, I understand, 2 machines at this point.
Well, 4 machines. Four pumping groups.
4
yes.
pumping groups.
Yes.
Okay, 4 pumping groups. And that's very interesting because this is a press which has a short stroke. I understand that there are a number of advantages out of the short stroke in addition to the time. I'm thinking to the volume of the plant, I'm thinking to the air that must be...
Well, the short stroke concept is quite simple from the principle point of view. It is amazing to see, as you will see in the next video, the dimensions of the fixtures. So I would say beside time, which is very important, the simplicity of construction and I would say the ergonomics of the system. A man can has very easy access to the complete fixture with no need of devices to reach any corner.
I understand this is a patented Canon solution.
It's a patented solution, yes.
Final quality control in a market regulated by labeling and by strict performance requests is becoming more and more important for the manufacturers. What are you supplying in this field?
Yes, that's a good point. The industry in general requires more controls to reduce scrap rate and have a more stringent control of production. We have a couple of examples for this market. The lines we are supplying includes, for example, a weight check of the final part in order to compare this value with the one declared by the foaming systems, and that's to verify that no errors are coming from the foaming section. Another example is a dimensional check. We have developed systems to verify the dimension of the cabinet at the end of the foaming line and compare it with the given values in order to verify if any part distortion is occurring, for example, for a uneven or non-constant filling of the cabinet in all his parts.
So a true 3D control of the dimension of the cabinet.
Absolutely.
Is it done by laser?
Is a laser.
Is a laser system.
Yeah.
Let's end this interesting discussion today with one aspect related with the door of the refrigerator. What are the latest news from Canon about door foaming?
Well, also for doors, there is a need to cope with the more stringent energy labeling. Beside standard solutions we have developed on our own, we cope with different requests from customers, and recently we have made tailor-made solutions meeting, for example, requirements for very high production systems. One example is what we call the Wafer Line, which essentially consists of a rectangularly shaped production system where we do not have fixtures. The molds are assembled on standard base plates, which are conveyed around this rectangular line. The rear part is for cure operation, part unloading and mold change in real time. The front part of the line is for part unloading and open or close mold pouring.
So you transport molds?
Yes.
You transport molds?
No fixtures.
No fixtures. And that's another interesting concept. We cannot forget that part of market to which probably several of our viewers belong today, that make commercial refrigerators, not domestic, but those out of standard or very huge dispensing machines or refrigerators for takeaway, supermarkets, etc. What are you supplying in this field?
This market niche is important for us. For 10 fixtures we deliver for the domestic market. We have 1 fixture delivered to the commercial market. In this segment, we believe our customer benefit of the strong local service the Canon organization can supply. The producer in this market segment are normally small, medium-sized companies, and since they are less structured than the domestic refrigerator producers, this customer needs a stronger support for what concerns especially the wet part. So they see in Canon a big value because of the local service we have worldwide, from Argentina to Kyrgyzstan.
And that's a very important aspect of the business, not only taking an order or delivering an order, but following the customer along all its production line.
Absolutely.
Well, I think this was covering the whole aspects for the moment of the dry part of production of domestic and commercial refrigerators. We will see in a few minutes another aspect of this production, which is the wet part, which is the production of dosing and mixing heads in Canon Afro's factory. We remind our viewers that they can post their questions on the right-hand side of their screen at the moment while they are viewing our Meet Canon open house on the dedicated page, and our experts will reply at the end of the session. For the time being, we stop here. We thank you, Alberto. We thank you, Paolo.
Thank you.
And we see you in a few minutes in Canon Afros. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your presence here to the second session of our Meet Canon virtual open house on rigid foams. We are today in Canon Afros with Francesco Abba, Sales and Marketing Manager, and Jari Pietrafesa, Sales Specialist in Insulation and Rigid Foams. Francesco, can you introduce you briefly and tell us what we are viewing today?
Thank you, Max. Let's say that welcome, first of all, to all of us here in Afros workshop. Afros is the company within Canon Group which is specialized in engineering, selling and servicing multi-component dosing and mixing equipment. This means that we have provided to the market till now about 15,000 dosing units, about 30,000 of mixing head, and about 50% of this machinery is dedicated to insulation and refrigeration. Let me say that refrigeration is the market where we are absolute leaders today and in the past 50 years. So we are going to show you something very interesting today related to what you can see in my back in my shoulders.
That's interesting, Francesco. Refrigeration is exactly what we are going to discuss now as far as the wet side of the business is concerned. We have just seen the dry side part of this equipment in the other factory, and we are now going to discuss what you are supplying exactly in this field.
Let me say that our sister company Ergos is providing the mechanical handling system for the parts that are going to be produced by our customer. Here we deal with chemistry, we deal with process, we deal with mixing and dosing equipment, which are our core competencies. Here we see a dosing unit related to refrigerators. Refrigerators which are manufactured in millions of pieces all over the world, and we serve our most important customers all over the world. Generally speaking, we have a dosing unit and mixing heads that we are going to see in the next few minutes when there will be the possibility to see the complete package that we are going to propose, especially some new things that are under development right now. And this is a very important feature, to be innovative, to be the leader of the market, which is very competitive and sometimes which ask for a very complex solution. In this case, we can see a machine fitted with pentane, and there are some other blowing agents that will be included in our machine configuration, and Jari will diffusely speak about that later on.
Thank you. Then Jari, Canon Afros is the company to talk to when we speak about wet. What is the market requiring to your company in the latest months, let's say?
Following the new labeling system, refrigerators producers are now in front of a tough challenge. The new system asks for 20% more in terms of energetic efficiency for each single energy class. In other words, the current A+++ becomes D or E, while the new A class will ask for 60% more in terms of efficiency related to the A++. the actual one. This is why customer requests are mainly related to the improvement of the quality of the insulation, trying to keep a reasonable cost of the final product.
What are you suggesting to solve these problems?
The blowing agents have an important role in this scenario in order to improve the insulation quality of the foam. For this reason, we develop many different solutions in order to meet the customer expectations. For example, starting from our premix unit, a multiple premix unit, we call it multi-easy froth. That's a blending machine that permits the customer to blend together more than one blowing agent together with a polyol, independently or in a combined way. Going through the machine, we can also talk about our multi-component mixing head, especially dedicated for the refrigeration sector. For example, our FPL SR 26/4 is already in use by our customers, especially for cabinets injection. With this mixing head, customer can easily choose which polyol in combination with the ISO they would like to mix for the injection. The main characteristic of the mixing head is that directly in the mixing head we can mix more than one polyol. So in this case, customer can play, let's say, with the chemistry in order to select one or two polyol mixing for a good quality of the foam in terms of different blowing agents.
So they can have a higher flexibility in terms of different markets.
Absolutely,
to supply
yes.
with
Absolutely,
one or
yes.
another formulation.
With the same mixing head, they can choose two different blowing agents in combination or independently related to the necessity of the customers.
Francesco, we already discussed before the aspects of the dry components of this equipment in terms of obtaining the highest energy efficiency. What can you tell us about the metering equipment, which a lot of times is confused with a set of two tanks and two pumps, and about the mixing heads, which are many times bought on the cheapest opportunity? How can they make a difference in obtaining a higher energy efficiency?
Max, that's really the common attitude of the customers. This is not really true. When we speak about specialized equipment for dosing and mixing, we are talking about really machinery of high quality and high innovation. When we speak about the efficiency of a refrigerator, we speak about millions and millions of pieces which are working 24 hours in our homes. So we need to have the best performance in terms of insulation which is required by our customer. In order to achieve this kind of goal, we developed not only the chemistry with some chemical supplier, but we developed also the expansion by physics. Let me say that one innovation which has been made by Canon in the recent years, as you may know, is vacuum-assisted injection. So we provide the vacuum inside the cabinet in order to provide the correct expansion of the foam, providing better cellulation, smaller cells, easy filling of the cabinet with all the passing through the components inside the refrigerator, and we have a very short cycle time due to the fact that we have a very fast formulation. When we developed this concept, it was about 13 years ago. The goal was to have much more efficiency in terms of production, more flexibility for the customer, and better insulation for the end users. Another innovation which is on the market is the backfoaming in 4 points, which has the goal to simulate the vacuum-assisted injection. In this case, we have a different performance of the system, but we need much more wet equipment. In fact, we have 4 dosing units, 4 mixing heads, and a real combination of different chemicals to be injected into the cabinet. This brings to a very complex situation where we have dosing units with 4 components, with 4 different chemistries, so 4 ISO, 2 ISO and different polyols to be injected in a different way into the cabinet. Canon developed the special machinery, and we will see in details which kind of mixing head we have developed for this task. Let me say that our workhorse is the Afros A system, well known to the market, but we developed a different combination and different configuration of the machine in order to cope with what I just said before for the flexibility.
As you said before, chemistry plays the fundamental role in this. How do you develop this together with the chemistry side?
Chemistry side is the most important, let me say, part. We have to accommodate in the best way the chemistry into the cabinet, and this has been done in the recent past with the vacuum-assisted injection with Dow Chemicals, who developed their Pascal system, which is a formulation specialized, which is dedicated to this vacuum effect inside the cabinet, which brings all the benefit that I was mentioning before during the past words.
Thank you. Surely, Jari, you have more details on these developments that we have done in chemistry treatment, metering and mixing.
Yeah, talking about the fast formulations, let me say that fast formulation needs necessarily an increased output from the mixing head. This because we have the need to close the pouring, the complete pouring cycle within a specific time. Unfortunately, the increasing of output with the same mixing head create more turbulence and create what we call the splash effect. Especially we can see it on the open mold doors production, where the turbulence and the splash effects have a very bad effect on the structure of the foam. To solve this problem, we developed and patented a new technology related to the variable output during the injection. At the beginning of the pouring in an open mold, we start from a lower output in order to avoid the splash effect. Then, during the complete pouring cycle, the output of the machine automatically increases up to cover the complete quantity of foam within the cream time.
So you start at low level and then you increase the rate of output during the shot.
Mixing head start the pouring with a low output, so exactly we avoid this splash effect, we avoid the damaging of the foam, and then to close the pouring cycle within the specific time given by the chemical supplier, we increase the output during the injection. This kind of technology is possible thanks to our new generation injectors. We call them now injectors, which is the nickname of no-wave injectors. The main characteristic of these injectors is that without any external operation, let's say, during the pouring cycle, with this injector we can keep constant the pressure even if the output is changing, even in an important way. It goes without saying that to meet the customer expectation, Canon guarantees the higher reliability of the machine and the mixing head, a perfect laminar flow, and easy maintenance, spare parts availability on local basis, and a quick reaction service, especially in this particular period of big changement.
Thank you. And talking about mixing heads, Francesco is talking about Canon itself since more than 50 years. Can we show our viewers something more specific about the heads?
Let me say that our program of research and development has been developed in the past years to accommodate the new chemistry coming to the market. We came on the market with a new mixing head, multi-component mixing head are now on the market also for refrigerators. This was not common in the past. We have, as Jari said, new nozzles, but above all we look forward to have something more. The expectation of the market are very, very high in terms also of quality and reliability of the components that we offer, and that's why we will have a look around in a different room, and please just wait for a few seconds to join this room to show you something very interesting.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you. Let's go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now with Maurizio Corti, Corporate Technical Director, that will explain us what's going on in Canon Afros as far as the mixing heads are concerned.
About the mixing head, the actual mixing head, they are produced in our factory, the factory of the group of Micromech, and each part of the mix head is mechanically measured and tested. That means that we measure all the geometry through a modern 3D measuring machine. We check the hardness, the roundness, the quality of the heat treatment, the clearances between the pieces, and all the mechanical parameters. These data are transferred to the identity card of each mix head, and we use this data not only to check the quality of the production, obviously, but we have the possibility to transfer the basic data to our service system and to the location when they are servicing the mixing head, or some customer needs the replacement of one part. We can reproduce this part as it shall be done for the specific mixing head. So we are sure from years that the quality of our mix head is as we want and is the best also for our customers.
How many mixing heads do we make every year?
More or less, we produce 1,000 high pressure mixing head, depending from the year, but the average rate is this. 1,000.
What's new with the mixing heads, Francesco?
We selected this meeting room because this is the meeting room of our R&D department. Frankly speaking, what we have in front of us are the two last development of our SR mixing head, which is our workhorse related to insulation. This brand new design of mixing head has been adapted in order to host a number of sensors. We can store up to 30 to 35, if I'm not wrong, Maurizio, different sensors on the mixing head in order to get all the information and the big data that are interesting to detect the continuous functioning of the heads themselves. This, for us, will be the future. The sensorized mixing head will be more and more important in the future development of the Industry 4.0. So we are already, let me say, in front of the expectation of the market. These are patented mixing head by our technical and development department. These mixing head are already validated in some of our customers. They will be available on the market, let's say right now, because we have enough stock also of mixing heads in our storage. So we can serve perfectly the market on this subject.
How do you call them?
We selected a strange name. We are saying that these are SR mixing head, but they are talking heads.
TH, talking head. Do they really talk, Maurizio?
Yes, yes. This new application on the mixing head is really permitting to our customers and also to us, obviously, to have and record and measure a lot of data on the working process of the mixing head. The sensors can be installed on the standard mixing head, and so each customer should select what they want to know. What is interesting is that we can measure the movement of the mixing head, the stress of the most important mechanical parts, and also monitor what is the process of foaming of the mixing head, because we can check on the mixing head, on board of the mixing head, the parameters that are critical for the foaming process. These data are transferred normally to our software, to our electronic control, and the software is recording the data that are coming from one or more sensors. In this case, we have 4 sensors that are detected, and we can see and measure the drifting of the parameters outside a certain threshold. So what we can consider a normal working process of the mixing head should stay within some field. When the data that we record and that are moving, they drift outside the field, it means that the process is going to be modified. Normally, the actual checking of the mixing head and all the parameters is when the drifting is too much, we have the stopping of the process. But the software now is permitting to us, but also to our customer, to the responsible for the process, to see what is happening on the specific mixing head or on the group of mixing head, and to detect if the drifting is too much, and to see the tendency of this phenomenon. So it is possible to make a preventive maintenance, but also to correct possible errors in the foaming, in the plant, and so on. So it's a very powerful tool that should be implemented on the mixing head, and that is very interesting for our customers, because they can see the process without peeling the pieces, without checking physically the pieces, or help in reduce this checking that shall be done to guarantee their quality.
And I imagine what happens in a multi-head line where you have several mixing heads under stress. At the end of a shift or a day, you can have an idea if there is a need
it is possible to compare the performances
between one head and the other one.
Between one head and the other, to see on the head what is happening on the dosing unit also, because normally we measure the parameters on the dosing unit. Now we measure on the mixing head, that is quite different. And also to understand if the chemistry is changing. For example, the temperature or the pressure is changing during the day due to variation of the temperature. And this is very important for the quality of the pieces that the mixed head is going to produce.
And being digitally available, I understand that they can go in a central
yes.
Storage.
Obviously, all this data shall be filtered, selected. Sometimes we measure just the peaks, or sometimes other parameters, and we can also apply recursive software that are, let me say, understanding the tendency and giving a preventive warning, not only the warning, to find where the parameter is going.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Maurizio. Francesco, do you want to add something to conclude this session?
Yes, let me add some few information on this mixing head. These products are now available on the market. They have been developed by our R&D department. They have been tested, and now they are available also in our stock. So we are proud to say that we can serve them at our customer, including spare parts and all the tech service that is needed to support this kind of mixing head. As you can see here, we have two sizes and two types of different mixing heads. One is 2-component, the other one is a 4-component mixing head. This is due to the fact that we want to absolutely cope with the customer needs related to different chemistry and different kind of products. I cannot say something more because I wish that curious people and the people who are looking forward in the future will contact us and will ask us for more information related to this product. So thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you, Maurizio. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please remember that you can still ask questions on the blog on the right-hand side of your screen, and our specialist in a few minutes will reply to your questions. We go now back to the studio where the final conclusion of this seminar, of this day of seminar, will take place with a question and answer session. For the time being, thank you, see you later. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You have seen almost nearly 1 hour of technical details on dry and wet solutions for the refrigerator industry. You are very numerous. We thank you for being here with us up to the end of this day. And you have posted questions we are ready to answer. The first one says, vacuum technology seems very interesting. Any data about a real saving in terms of foam, blowing agent, and production time? Francesco, can you reply?
Yes. VAI is a technology which is now on the market since 10 years ago. It is a very proven technology. Just replying to the question, the real saving in terms of foam ranges between, let's say, 5%, in the worst case, up to 7–8%. So it's really important. If we imagine that we produce in one line on 3 shifts 700,000 cabinets per year, it's a massive saving. In terms of blowing agents, we don't have any specific saving. About the production time, we save, let's say, minimum 35 to 40% of production time.
Of the curing time.
of the production
Of production time.
Overall production
Overall,
time.
okay.
Overall production time. Or vice versa, keeping the same productivity, we need less jigs to perform the same productivity. So instead of having 12 lines conventional type, we can have only 8 jigs of VAI technology. So you have also reduced the footprint occupation
of the plant. Several questions. I resume them in one about talking head. There are a lot of them. Is it available to be installed? Which is the real advantage to have this head? How do you help customer to use correctly the data collected by the new head? I think Maurizio can answer.
Yes. So the talking head is available because we can install the sensors on different parts of the mixing head. So depending from the request of the customer, we can provide different type of sensors and obviously different collecting data.
So you can customize the head?
Yes, it is possible to customize. Obviously, the mix head is composed by different parts, and on these different parts, we can install the sensors. One of the main sensorized part are the hydraulic part. We have 4 channels for hydraulic part. That means polyol iso and the oil that is controlling the movement of the mixing spool and the self-cleaning rod. On this part, we can install sensors, and so, for example, just the hydraulic sensor can be 16 on the standard mixing head, and then we can install sensors and of movement and of position on different part of the moving part of the mixing head. Okay, so they are available. We can install these sensors on this part. Which is the real advantage? The real advantage is that we read the behavior of this part and of the hydraulic fluid that are entering and exiting the mix head. So it is helping to understand if the mix head is performing within the parameters that are controlled by the software, or they are drifting outside these parameters. It is easy to understand the importance of the temperature on the chemistry, but also the speed of movement of the parts that are finally concluding the exact dosing of the chemistry inside the mold that we are filling. So this is just to give an idea of what we can monitor. What about collecting data? Obviously, the data that we collect are a lot, and we are happy to help the customers to understand what about this data, because also we learn about this technology that is really a new technology.
Very interesting. A question for Andrea, I believe. Very interesting, the short stroke concept of jig applied for the jig for cabinets. Is this impacting the production cycle? And that's a nice question. What about price?
This is a good question. Let's start from the first part of the question. And the answer is yes. The cycle time is reduced because the service time of this fixture is actually lower, almost half, when compared to a standard fixture, because the time taken by the fixture to close, as we saw in the video, is really short. So a few seconds is the time needed for this operation. And so since you have to close, to open first and to close, you save quite a considerable amount of time. So the answer is surely yes, you save cycle time. Another point that I would like to add is that due to the dimension of the fixture itself, the maintenance, the accessibility to the jig is very easy, is very convenient. So also this is an important point to be considered. Finally, concerning the price, I would say that as well, yes, the price compared to a standard fixture is lower. Then clearly it depends on the configuration of the machine that is requested, but same level of specs, we have a lower price.
Thank you. I have another question on doors. Francesco, you might be the destiny of this question. Is it better to have open or closed mold foaming? Well, that's a difficult, and why? Or
I can answer as well.
Yeah.
This,
Yes, Andrea, it's up to you.
Yes.
Specific.
Even if I do not have a real answer, because it depends a lot on the geometry of the door you want to produce. So in some cases you have no choice. You have to go with closed mold injection because there's no alternative. As well, in some other case where maybe you have water or ice dispenser, it is by far better to have an open pore distribution of the foam. Then generally, we can say that the closed mold injection is requesting a more accurate preparation of the doors to be injected with the sealing of all the parts, while for open mold pouring, this is not requested.
So it depends very much.
It depends a lot, yes.
On the application.
From case to case, it has to be evaluated. It is not possible, in my opinion, to give a general rule to
It's a matter of fact that we have seen in the years a rising thickness of the doors to get a better thermal efficiency of the fridge, and for the new labeling, doors are becoming more massive and more thick than before, as the walls of the refrigerators as well. And this implies something for the last question, which I see on our monitor now. What is the benefit to pour the fridge cabinet with different combination of poly and iso in one time using multiple mixing heads? We worry about complication of the process. What do you say about that? Okay, so multiple. Francesco.
I can answer to this. Let me say that benefits in terms of quality of the foam, in terms of lambda, which are required nowadays to cope with the new labeling, are more stringent. Sometimes customer needs to get a premium refrigerators on the same line, so they may require more sophisticated quality of foam or different ratios of blowing agents inside, different kind of blowing agents inside the same production line. So that's why they require different polyols. Different polyols means multi-component mixing heads. This means up to 4 different type of injection points. And sometimes this implies a complication on the process. There is no
straight answer.
It's a straight answer. We cannot say simple solution can just improve the process. One of the simplest solutions that you have to improve the process is the vacuum-assisted injection. That is, for all the benefits that I mentioned before, these are absolutely the real target you can get with a very simple media, the vacuum. You get better refilling, foam saving, chemical saving, floor space footprint saving, a lot of real interesting benefits without complicating so much the process. Of course, let me say that more complex is the process in terms of chemistry, blending, and so on, and harder is for us to comply with that, but there are also some added value, and so we are happy to do that, honestly.
Thank you, Francesco. It's now 4:20 p.m. We have, I think, completed our program. We remind you that tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we will start our session on insulation panels made with the discontinuous foaming process. And tomorrow afternoon, we will have a round table on energy efficiency, circular economy, and environmental aspects that we should never forget when dealing with these technologies. For the time being, I thank Francesco Bai, I thank Maurizio Corti, I thank Andrea Orlandini for their presence. I wish you a very good evening, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.